Yo, what's good, party people, boxing heads, etc. So this is some stuff that I've been wanting to talk about for like a while. It's certainly on boxing pages or boards or whatever. This stuff comes up, and so like I really just wanted to make a point and put this thing out while I'm out here doing my thing for work. People are, when it comes to boxing fans, but just people in general, human beings are a strange soul. You know what I mean? Like they're strange. Like, okay, not to get too deep on you, right? But let's start with this. The first time I had heard this particular idea was on one of Erykah Badu's albums, but it was saying that there's only two base emotions, and everything else is a derivative of one of the two. There is love and there is fear, and every emotion that we have falls under the umbrella of one of those two. And I've tried for a really long time to find a hole in that, a chink in the armor in that idea, and I have not been successful. I really think that that's true. I mean, jealousy, envy, those insecurities, those things come from fear. You know, like, so it's really hard to find a problem with that. So I say that because people have this need. I mean, we're social creatures, right? Like, you know, in the same way that lions live in prides, and, you know, the gorillas live together. A lot of animals are social creatures. They live in social groups. People are like that.
In 2 miles, take the interchange on the right.
Take the interchange. So, like, we have this need to cling together to feel safe, and that's not the only reason, but that's a big one. It's a big one. You know, we're not solitary creatures like a tiger or whatever. People live together. So, as this pertains to the boxing fan and sports fans in general, certainly I'm gonna speak for in terms of America. I mean, this is probably applicable across the world. You know, because the biggest sport in the world is probably, you know, soccer or football, right? But people have this tribalistic tendency to cling together and band together, and it's like we have to have an enemy in order to function. It's like we have to have someone to be against, not just be who we're with and be what we're about, but we have to have a polar opposite. It's like you can't be a Jedi without there being a Sith out there for you to clash sabers with, right? So I bring all of this up in that long-winded, intro, as it were.
In half a mile, take the interchange on the right.
On the right. So there are fan bases that just get out of hand, and as a fighter's popularity grows, that is kind of the natural occurring event, right? Like,
take the interchange on the right.
Some of you guys were really young. Some of you current boxing fans are young, and that explains some of the behavior too. It's just immaturity and the fact that you just have not been in the sport long enough to really see the ebbs and flows and the peaks and valleys. And you haven't watched careers from beginning to close. So you're immature in that way, the way that you express your fandom and your you know, like or your disdain for whomever. But like the Trinidad fans, Felix Tito Trinidad, amazing fighter. I was not a huge fan because I was younger back then, and I was a De La Hoya dude. So like I just felt like, plus the Trinidad fans had just gotten out of control. I mean, it was mania. If you were around and you were on message boards and stuff online back then, you could not talk sense into them dudes at all. Manny Pacquiao fans, there's plenty of those folks that are out off their, you know, off their rocker and out of their gourds. Canelo fans currently, there's plenty of them who just... So, and the topic of this particular video, I'm really going to talk about Errol, Spence, and Bud Crawford, but we're going to get to that. Like, you can tell And this is one of the biggest problems, me personally, that I have with boxing, is the supposed so-called alleged boxing fan. A lot of you folks are not fans of boxing. You're fans of boxers. You care more about your favorite fighter than you care about the sport in which they fight. Like, y'all bammers go so hard. Like, okay, and again, like I said what the topic is going to be, but I'm gonna rock a little Canelo stuff real quick, and then we'll delve into it. But like, I'd be online and I'll see dudes that are like, oh, Canelo would crush him. So then what? You don't want to see it? Like, when it comes to Charlo or Andrade or Benavidez or whoever, because apparently Canelo can beat the whole world. So the argument is that he would crush them, so you don't want to see him do it. Now, if these are significant fighters with followings and fan bases,
take the interchange on the right.
Then why wouldn't you want to see it? Especially if he's going to crush whomever. Like, why? I would much rather watch Canelo crush Jamal Charlo than watch him crush Yildirim, right? Wouldn't you? It's more significant. And then you get to talk trash to another guy, another fan base. But, so we'll just take whatever. We don't care because it's the Canelo show. And we'll just watch whatever because we don't even have to make compelling or interesting TV-friendly matchups anymore because, hey, he'll crush them. So why even do it, right? It makes no sense. But anyhow, again, this is all about how specific so-called fans of the sport behave when it comes to supporting their favorite fighters, right? The Terence Bud Crawford and the Errol the Spence, Errol the Truth Spence Jr. situation is particularly aggravating for me. Because listen, I'm not one of these dudes who just, I'm always going to support the American fighter. I'm always going to support the black fighter. By and large, that tends to happen. But that's not the criteria for me. I support who I like. If I like a fighter, I support them. I like Lennox Lewis. I appreciate Lennox Lewis way more than I used to. But again, I was young at that time. I was a big Mike Tyson guy. But anyway, but like right now, I like Chris Eubank a lot. I enjoy watching him. It has nothing to do with where Chris is from. Doesn't matter. I like Chris Eubank.
In half a mile, take the interchange on the right. So, as it pertains to Bud and Spence, I enjoy watching both of them. I know this is going to blow your mind, but you can like both guys. Did you know that? I don't know if you maybe didn't know. I don't know. Maybe you didn't read the fine print. Take the interchange on the right.
But you're allowed.
Then keep right at the fork.
You're allowed to like them both, and I do. Now, that being said,
keep right at the fork.
You've got guys online. And strangely enough, these are always the dudes that never watch a video. They just read the title. They never read an article. They just read the title. And then they just run with it. They just jump off a cliff, having not fully digested the material. So you can criticize a particular fighter's decisions, their style, whatever it is. You can put your critique out there, and that's fine. That's not hate. You're allowed to dissect the scenarios, the business decisions, the numbers, what happens in the ring, the strategy, training camps, whatever. You're allowed to break those things down because that's us talking about the sport. We're discussing the sport that we say we love. When it comes to Bud Crawford, like for absolute, Bud has made some terrible ass decisions as far as the re-signing with Top Rank is probably the worst choice possible because now Bud's at an age where he's just now starting to get what he deserves. And what's Bud? 35? 36? I mean, he's in his mid-30s for sure. So I don't know how many more years we're going to get of Bud. I don't even know if Bud's at his prime right now or at the pinnacle, which means after the pinnacle, there's nothing left but decline, right? So he's just now going to start getting the paydays and the events and the notoriety and the recognition that he deserves because Bob Arum gives no damns. Listen, Bob Arum, in my opinion, and all of this is my opinion, so you can ball it up, throw it in the trash. If you don't care about my opinion, that's cool. But it's still mine. You can have yours. Bob Arum certainly, obviously, is a Hall of Fame promoter, one of the biggest promoters the sport's ever seen. But I think Bob has gotten exceedingly lazy over the last 20 years.
In 2 miles, take the exit on the right.
I think Bob saw success with promoting fighters who have built-in fan bases. Generally speaking, those fan bases are heavy on nationalistic or ethnic pride, and so the solidarity for that fan base is housed in those things. So you get people who just, they are fight fans. Well, let's just say, for example, you're from the Philippines. You're just going to rock with Manny Pacquiao, not even because you're necessarily a big boxing fan, but because a guy from the Philippines is making noise, making waves, and really doing some historic stuff. So, you're just going to rock with him. And then that kind of broadens and expands out a little oftentimes, and now you're just going to support Asian fighters. And listen, there's nothing wrong with having some ethnic pride or some nationalistic pride. I get that. But those things are not what boxing is supposed to be about. A lot of y'all make it about that, but that's not what it's about. Boxing is the sweet science. It's two combatants climbing in a ring and...
In half a mile, take the exit on the right.
Enforcing their will and their strategy and their talents and attributes on their opponent. That's what boxing is about. The science, the hit and not get hit, you know what I mean? That's what it's supposed to be about. But again, a lot of y'all make it about other stuff, and it's ridiculous. But anyway.
Take the exit on the right.
I heard you, girl. So, I was on Bob
in half a
Arum.
mile.
Let me stick
Continue
with that
straight
before I roll back to Terence. So Bob has gotten so accustomed to promoting fighters that have these fan bases built in, so he doesn't really have to spend a lot of money on marketing promotion. I feel like Top Rank does bare bones stuff, unless of course they really rock with you. For whatever
Continue
reason,
straight, then turn left.
They really tried to make Tyson Fury this popular fighter, and look, your ability, and this applies to Terence Crawford too, your ability inside the ring does not necessarily translate to the marketplace. It should, but it doesn't always work like that. Sugar Shane Mosley was never really the A-side to a promotion of a really big event. Even when he was pound for pound number one in the sport, he needed a dance partner. And that's part of what marketability and being A-side does. It just does. So you have that it factor, you have a thing about you that resonates with people, and they spend their money to see you every time, no matter what, right? And I think Bob Arum got really used to that. He certainly does not have a good track record of promoting young black American fighters. If you want to go back to the Ali days, okay, that's been a long time, my man. It's been a minute. Like I said, I'm talking about the last 20 years, Bob just does not have. The other thing is, I think Bob is greedy. And I get it, man. Hey, he's put his time in. He's now 1,000 years old. He's like Senator Palpatine, your old curmudgeon. And he wants his slice of the pie. He's used to getting a slice of the pie. I get it, right? But there's a reason why Oscar De La Hoya left, and Floyd Mayweather left, and Michael Cotto left, and Manny Pacquiao left. Who else left? Mikey Garcia left. There's a reason why these guys finally figured out, you know what, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. At this point, you build your brand to a certain place. You do not need to give Bob all that money and have him guide your career in a way that only benefits him. It doesn't really benefit you because Bob does what he wants to do. Look at this, the thing with Terence Crawford. Right now, he wants
in a quarter
Terence
of a mile, Turn right.
He wants Terence to fight Josh Taylor instead of Errol Spence. The fight that we all been talking about for years. He's like, I think it's more lucrative. It's more lucrative for you, Bama. It's more lucrative for you because you get the double dip, and you
Turn right.
and you like double dipping.
Your destination will be on the right.
You like double dipping, but the bigger fight, the more lucrative fight, clearly,
your destination is on the right.
Is Crawford versus Errol Spence. Clearly, man, we all want that. It's a more salivating fight. I'm not saying that Josh Taylor versus Crawford is a bad fight, but dude, the fight we've been wanting and talking about forever is that one. So anyway, Bob Arum, you know what the deal is with him. I think you should. If you defend that guy simply because you feel like you have to have a team, like you're just anti-PBC, and we kind of probably know where a lot of that stems from. We ain't gonna smash into all that right now, but we know. So you feel like just by default, that's the other side, and you want to rock with Bob and Top Rank. Do you, brother? Do you? If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But it kills me that like you, especially the black fight fan. Like, look, we're black folks in America. We're about 13% of the overall country, the overall population, right? So it really bothers me in situations inside and outside of boxing, just society in general, where we can't seem to get our stuff together in terms of each other, in terms of loving and supporting each other. It always, scuffs my Timbs. It's I don't like it. But as it pertains to boxing and Errol Spence and Crawford, I don't understand some of you Bammers that feel like you gotta. Boxing is not a team sport. It is an individually practiced sport. There are no franchises. You got individuals, and you're going to see the rise and the fall of that person's career. It's natural. They're going to get older. They're going to eventually retire, right? That's just what it is. So when you get old enough and mature enough to have watched that, like I saw that happen to Mike Tyson, the rise and fall. I loved Mike. Mike is my favorite fighter of all time. I saw that happen to Roy. And Roy Jones still is one of the most phenomenal, most talented, athletically gifted fighters I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've been watching boxing since like the mid-'80s. Roy was just a force of nature. Him and Mike, those are the only two fighters that I would have bet on the same way I bet that the sun is coming up tomorrow. I believed in Mike and Roy like I believed in the sun rising, right? And then you see what happens. So I say this all the time. At this age and having watched boxing for so long, I don't fall in love with fighters anymore because you just appreciate what you see. And you can like a fighter that right now, yes, Errol Spence is my favorite active fighter, but I'm not in love, and I'm not I still possess the ability to be objective about what I see because I am a fan of boxing more than boxers. I like fighting more than fighters. And some of y'all have to wrap your heads around that and make the transition from being, put your pom-poms down and you can take your cheerleading outfit off and just like the sport. This boxing is not a team sport. And I don't know if some of y'all just get off by getting online, just looking for somebody to beef and talk trash to. Maybe some of y'all do. Maybe that's really what it's about. It ain't even about boxing for you. You don't know a check hook from checking in on social media. You don't know, what a pull counter is. Some of y'all, man, are really funny style with it. And it is what it is. I mean, you probably this is how you carry yourself throughout the course of your regular life anyway. So I don't know if there's hope for you. Some of y'all, I think it is. You just have to get a little older, a little more mature, and watch the sport for longer, and you will see what it is that I am saying to you. But in regards to Errol Spence and Crawford, I like them both. I like watching them both. So when you get online You're allowed to critique a fighter is you using factual data, observations, inklings, reports, statements, etc., and then breaking that down from a place of being analytical and trying to ascertain some level of truth about what it is that we look at when we see these guys. That's critique. You can say, one of mine for Bud, for example, right? I think Bud is a spectacular fighter, man. The dude has a fighter's heart, the athleticism, the speed, the placement. He's a great finisher, power in both hands. He can switch stances and fight, with fluidity in either stance. But the thing about Bud that it reminds me of Chico Corrales, God bless the dead, and it reminds me of Evander Holyfield as well. Bud will get into a fight at times when Bud should be boxing. Bud is an emotional guy. And I think a lot of that has to do with his upbringing. He's got this chip on his shoulder, his relationship with his mother, a lot of things that culminate into creating who we are as people. Our lives leading up to adulthood have a lot to do with who we end up being. And I think Bud has he feels like he's got a lot to prove. So he can be drawn into a firefight when he should be boxing. And that is one of the main factors that when I look at the way I think Crawford and Spence would go down, is that could end up being his undoing. That could result in, if Mean Machine can put you down, a Spence shot can put you down. And I think that's going to end up making the difference. I don't know that Errol's going to stop him. I don't know about that. Especially now with the car accident and the retina and all that, and the inactivity. It's more now of a 50-50 fight to me. It was like a 60-40 for me. Before all of the craziness in Errol's life, I was like 60-40. It's still a very close fight, but I'm leaning on the taller, longer, larger southpaw. And Errol's a consistent guy. Round to round to round, he's consistent in terms of the volume of punches, the placement, the body attack, the jab. It's a tall order, So, but look, and see what I just did? Like, just in talking about Terence, I can say a thing about him with no vitriol, no venom, no fandom. I'm not cheerleading for Errol Spence when I give a critique. I'm saying what I factually see in the fights, his tendencies. I'm talking about, again, facts. So some of y'all really need to calm down, especially the black fight fan. Y'all got to calm the F down and enjoy our fighters and enjoy it, man. You can root for a guy, you can like a guy better than the other guy, but that don't mean you got to dump on the other dude. Like, y'all, some of y'all just act real. It's just like groupies. It's real crazy. I don't understand it, man. It's real strange weirdos that behave this way. And I just don't get it, man. So I think some of y'all need to climb up off of that horse, come down to the ground, and just enjoy. Like, there was, I watched a video Fanon put up the other day, and he had talked about something that Bomac said in regards to an opportunity that Bud Crawford had to fight Errol Spence. When he was about to come up to 147, Bomac himself said they chose to fight Jeff Horn. So the opportunity was there. And you got dudes that wouldn't even, I posted the video online, and you got dudes who won't even watch the video, and you want to argue. Oh, it's a typical Spence Ick Riders-ish. Did you listen? This is Bomac talking. Is Bomac riding Errol Spence? Because that doesn't make any sense, brother. Just calm down and listen to what it is. And let's break it down and chop it up and dissect it and all that. We can do that. Some of y'all really, this is not the Cowboys and the Redskins, okay? You ain't got to beef off jump. This is not the Capulets and the Montagues, the what's it, the McCoys and what's the other one? You don't have to be this way, man. How about you just be a fan of fighting? How about you just be a fan of boxing and enjoy it? It doesn't make any sense. Some of y'all really act like goons, and you need to really, seriously, like, grow up, mature, and let's talk about boxing. I can't stand coming online and I'm trying to just discuss the fighters and the particulars and the details. And you got to deal with these clowns who are immediately in their feelings if you say anything that is not glowing praise of their guy. Right now, the most sensitive cats in the world are Canelo Alvarez fans, and right below that, for me and in my experience, is the Terence Crawford fans. Like, God damn, calm down. Like, why can't we use facts when we talk? It's not hate. If you're talking about things, if I say, listen, look, I like Canelo, like I've said in the video before, I like Canelo, but I'm pretty sure Canelo's on PEDs. He's been popped for PEDs before. That part is fact. His stamina issues apparently have just vanished, even as he's moved up 3 divisions. So I have my suspicions. But I'm not hating. I can talk about his punch selection. I can talk about everything that he does in the ring, mechanically and in terms of technique. I enjoy, and I can discuss these things. I don't have to stoop and be immature and ridiculous to talk about boxing. It takes the fun out of boxing, man. You suck the oxygen out the air. Some of y'all, man. And so, like, I think we're going to get Crawford and Spence in late 2022, but I believe we're going to get it, and we're going to enjoy it. And no matter what happens, just enjoy it, and let's talk about the fights. You don't have to be a cheerleader. You really don't. I mean, unless that's your natural inclination. But you really don't have to do this sport. It's not like baseball or basketball or football or any other American sports. It's not soccer. You don't have to just ride for your team, because these aren't franchises. These aren't teams. These are human beings. They're going to have X amount of years in the sport, and then they're done. And you're going to see that. So enjoy them while they're here, all right? Anyway, appreciate you. If you dig what I'm talking about, obviously like the video, share the video. That would help a brother out. I'm gonna actually, this year, I'm really gonna try to start putting together some more polished content. At this point, I just want to express what's on my mind, and if you're a boxing addict like me, if you're a fan, you'll dig what I'm saying. So anyways, I appreciate y'all, man. Have a good one, and we'll wrap. Peace.